Hello everyone, you're welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful ball dress for a 5-year-old girl. In this tutorial I'm going to be drafting and cutting the pattern, while in the next tutorial I'm going to be cutting and sewing this actual dress. If this looks like something you're interested in, kindly watch this video to the end and do not forget to give it a thumbs up if you find it helpful. Of course you're going to find it helpful. So guys, I'm going to start with the pattern drafting. So here I have my measurement already. Go ahead and take the measurement of the child, and if you do not have, you can simply follow this one that I have, but the measurement varies a lot depending on the size of the child. So this line that I have here is going to be my shoulder line, and where I'm going to take all my vertical measurement from. So for the upper bodice, I'm going to take from the shoulder down to the half length, which is 10.5 inches. Then I'm going to mark forward like so and connect with a straight line. I'm going to add 1 inch for the stitching allowance, although you might need to add lesser than that. This depends on the type of fabric you're working with, and at the same time I just want to be on the safe side by adding 1 inch. You can add half an inch for your stitching allowance. You can also add 0.75 for your stitching allowance. On the shoulder now, I'm going to divide the shoulder measurement by 2. So I'm going to mark like so. So after that, you come down by half an inch for the shoulder slope. After that, you're going to take your neck width and neck depth measurements. So for this, I'm going to be working with 2.5 by 2.5. Then I'm going to connect with a curved line to give it a round neckline. After connecting the neckline, you connect from the neck width back to the shoulder slope. After connecting to the shoulder slope, the next thing you want to do is to plot the chest line, which will also give you the armhole line and the armhole curve. To do this, you can simply impute your chest line measurement, or you just use whatever you have on the shoulder and you measure it after the shoulder slope. So because this is not going to have a sleeve, I'm going to reduce the measurement by half an inch. So we are not going to attach a sleeve to the ball dress. It's advisable you deduct half an inch. If it is an adult, we are going to deduct 1 inch from the armhole so that the armhole area can be fitted. So I'm just going to mark, just like you see me doing. You are going to mark like so. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line. So here is going to be chest line. So whatever you have on the shoulder, you take the measurement again on that particular line. So after this, you connect back to the shoulder slope like so, just like you see me doing. So this is our armhole line. Now we are going to create the armhole curve. So there's no difference in how you are going to get the armhole for the kids. Same way we used to do for the adults. So you are going to divide your bust circumference into 4. In the case of a child, it is a chest measurement. So I'm going to take the chest measurement divided by 4. Then I'm going to take my stitching allowance. So from there, from the shoulder slope, I'm going to connect to the half an inch, and I'm going to connect back to the chest line like so. After connecting the armhole, the next thing you want to do is to come to the waistline and take the same measurement you have on the chest line on the waist. So okay, so if it's an adult, you are going to be dividing the waist by 4, but in this case, whatever you have on the chest is what you are going to have on the waist. Do the same thing on the same allowance. Then you connect back to the chest line like so. So for the stitching allowance, I added 1 inch. So yours can be 1.5 depending on the size that you are working with. So the next thing I'm going to do now, if you are going to be having a yoke on this, you can simply alter this pattern to have a yoke. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add half an inch stitching allowance all around the neckline, the shoulder, and the armhole. We already have our allowance by the side and on the hem. I'm done doing that. It is advisable you add your stitching allowance on the pattern so as to be on the safe side. We are done with the front now, and I'm going to be cutting this on fold. So with this, we are done with the front. You can now cut it out. If this is your first time on this channel, you are highly welcome. Thank you very much for stopping by, and to the old subscriber, thank you very much for coming back. Moving on to the back pattern, we are also going to need this front pattern because it's more like you want to duplicate it, but we are not going to be use all of that. Number one thing is that your back pattern is going to have a zipper allowance, and I'm going to be using 1 inch for that. You can use 1.5 and you can also use 1 inch. It is just for a kid. You do not need more than 1.5. Okay, then after this I'm going to take the back length. For a kid, you do not need to differentiate between front and back length because they do not have a bust yet, so they just have the same measurement for the front and back. After that, I'm going to connect that line, and I'm also going to add the stitching allowance I had at the front, and I'm also going to draw out the zip allowance like so. I'm going to label it the zip allowance. After this, you are going to take the shoulder measurement, then the neck measurement. So for the neck, I'm going to be using the same neck width, but for the back depth, I'm going to be having another type of neckline at the back. So if you are going to maintain a round neckline, you can simply use 2.5 by 1.5 inches or even 1 inch for the back, except if you want another type of design. So if you are going to make a round neckline, you can simply maintain the same neck width but a different neck depth. So you can work with 2 inches, 1.5, 1 inch or 0.75. This depends on how high you want it to be. After which you have connected, you are going to extend to the zipper allowance. You are going to measure your shoulder slope, your chest line, armhole line and the armhole curve, just like you did for the front. You can also place the front bodice on the back like so, but make sure you fold in the stitching allowance you added on the shoulder. This will guide you on how and where to place your neckline, your shoulder line and the chest line. Okay, so you can even draft your pattern both front and back on one piece of paper. Maybe I'll be doing that method in another tutorial. Then you're going to connect and draw out your lines. The next thing you're going to do is to take the chest measurement, that is the bust area, divided by 4, and you add your stitching allowance. So whatever measurement you're taking is going to be from the center back line, not the zipper allowance line. So after this, you gun it from the chest area down to the waistline. Then you're also going to connect the zip. Then you're going to connect the stitching allowance, and after this you're going to connect your armhole, just like you see me doing. Now that you have connected that, you can add your stitching allowance around. So this is going to be the back, and you're going to be cutting 2 of this compared to the front that you cut on fold. Now I want a V neckline for the back. I'm going to be connecting from the neck width to the chest line. So if you want yours to be deeper than that, you can simply determine the length. If you don't want it to get to the chest line, just decide on the length you want. But for me, I'm going to maintain the chest line, so I'll connect from the chest line down to the neck width. Then from there, I'm going to go out to the zip allowance like so. So in this case, please, you need to be watchful of the way you connect. If you connect directly to the zip allowance like so, you will find it difficult in folding in the zipper allowance correctly. So let's say we want to connect the round neckline, we're going to extend to the zip allowance, but we need to stop before the zipper allowance. All right, so if we should extend the V neckline down to the zip like so, by the time you want to fold in that allowance area, it will not be easier. So let's take for example now the round neckline. If I'm to connect the round neckline, I'm going to connect like this, and if I want to cut it out, I'm going to cut from the zipper allowance. This is how you're going to cut out your neckline. You start from the zipper allowance like so. But because I'm going to be working with a V neckline, I'm just going to be folding in this V. So the neckline, the round neckline is for later purpose. So if I'm to fold this V, the first line, up to the zipper allowance like this, and I want to fold the zipper allowance, you see that it will be looking awkward. So that is why you need to connect to the center back line, not the zipper allowance. So I'm going to reconnect back to the center back line. After reconnecting back to the center back line, then you can now extend to the zipper allowance from that point where your V neckline stop. Okay, so this line here is not going to be useful. All right, this is the new line that we are going to maintain. So please just be watchful of how you connect a V neckline. This is what I have seen that has been like an issue for people making this. So I already had my sewing allowance of 1 inch. I'm going to go ahead and add half an inch on the shoulder, on the armhole and the neckline. So guys, this is how you are going to cut out the back. You need to cut the zipper allowance like this, then you cut out the V itself. So because I want to use this pattern later, I'm just going to be folding in the V and the zipper allowance, and as you can see, it lays flat and it is easier for me to fold the zip allowance. So that is how you are supposed to do the back neckline if you want to have a V neckline. So I will not be cutting this out because I want to use this neckline later in future. So if it's the round neckline, you're just going to fold in the 1-inch zipper allowance like so. So guys, that'll be all for the pattern drafting, and I hope you find this video really helpful. If you have any questions, suggestion, addition or subtraction, kindly let me know in the comment section. Do not forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to turn on your notification bell so that whenever I drop the sewing tutorial of this pattern, you are definitely going to get notified. Also, I'll be dropping a link to some of my other interesting tutorials. Kindly check the description box for the links. Until next time we meet again in my tutorial, bye bye and take care of yourself. Thank you.